Hey, what's going on? It's 12:30 on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. My name is John Carissimo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday, 12:30 Eastern Time, to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is basically how you monetize the business that's already in front of you. Chances are you know somebody that needs a place to live. Chances are we all know somebody who needs a place to live. Maybe they have one currently, but maybe they need a bigger place to live. Maybe they need a smaller place to live. Maybe they need a more centrally located place to live. Maybe they got a new job and they need to relocate for where they need to live. There's a lot of reasons why someone might need to relocate, whether they're buying a property for their first time and relocating themselves into being a homeowner, or maybe they're just trading up from one property to another for one reason or another. Everybody is an opportunity. Every person that you meet, every person that you know is a real estate opportunity. And that's why they call real estate such a people business, is because if you just simply know people who need a place to live and you can be the one who they will trust to get them into that place to live, you could earn a ton of money in commission. So what we're going to be talking about today is how that money is calculated, including a little bit of details about potential splits you might have with your broker and other things like that. And then also business expenses that might be involved to overall go from being just an average person who might not even have a real estate license to somebody who's able to monetize the relationships that they have and provide a phenomenal service in the interim. You know, there's so many real estate agents that I've spoken to that we love to do this little icebreaker when we start our classes at Tampa School of Real Estate, especially pre-licensing, is why did you get into real estate? What is the reason why you're getting your real estate license? And so many people have had terrible experiences with people who are far less than professional, who, you know, really from our perspective, they just don't really have a good idea of what it is that they're doing. But the good news is we train on that. That's why we're here every single Wednesday, as well as Fridays. We live stream in addition to the courses that we offer here at Tampa School of Real Estate. We want to be here. Whether or not you're a student of ours already, we welcome you to come into the Tampa School of Real Estate family. Let us take you in and let us help you put you on that road to whatever ultimate level of success it is that you want to get to. But it all starts with understanding this process of how to go from a contact to, I like to say, a contract, but ultimately we still want to get to a commission even after we get into a contract. So what does the sale process look like? What is our role that we do as a real estate agent, and what do we get paid for doing what it is that we do? That's what today's episode is about. My name is John Carissimo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate.
You are watching Ask the Instructor. Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. My name is John Carissimo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate every single Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. We're here live to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're covering today is contact to commission. And if you like today's episode about this, broad overview of what a real estate agent does and what they get paid to do it, hit that thumbs up button for us to let us know that you like this episode, that you want to see more content like this, because we ultimately do these videos not for us. Yes, we're promoting Tampa School of Real Estate along the way, but ultimately we're doing these videos to help you guys understand real estate better, able to realize not just the opportunities that are out there, but to actually take advantage of those opportunities. So we want to help you do that. We want to get you on that path. That's why we're here every single Wednesday, Friday, 12:30 p.m. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. But let's get into it. How do we turn a contact into commission? Now, I know a lot of people might look at this and say, oh, well, how can I turn my friends and family member, and how can I think of them as a number? How can I think of them as a dollar amount? Well, we're not thinking about your relationship. We're not thinking what that relationship is worth. what you're thinking of is, as a potential business person, is your contacts, your leads that you've already established as a potential business person. If you have the necessary license, is there a means through the real estate business model to make money by providing value to these contacts? And that's why I think a lot of people that had a bad experience with a real estate agent in the past, why they get on a path to get a real estate license and ultimately do better. Number one, because they see, wow, this person did such a terrible job. I can't let this person go around doing a terrible job. And then on top of that, wow, if this person could do this terrible of a job and make this much money, imagine if we did a great job. Imagine if we did a halfway decent job. So if you've had a bad experience with a real estate professional before, you probably understand what I mean. Or if you've ever just been skeptical about why does a real estate agent earn as much money as they do. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of professionals that give us a bad name, that don't really earn their commission. Because it's not necessarily about making commission. You don't necessarily make a commission, you earn a commission. You don't just get a commission, you have to earn that commission. And the interim between a contact and a commission is going to be a contract. A lot of C words we've got here. Now the only difference we've got is the addition of the R. What does that R stand for in contract? How do you turn a contact into a contract? It's all about the relationship. That's what the R is there for. To remind you that without a relationship, your contacts will not become contracts. And I'm trying to keep this as simple and as high level as we possibly can. We'll dice this up and get a little bit deeper into each of these different parts of what you're more specifically doing as a real estate professional. But we got to understand from a broad view of basically what goes on. And then we'll dial more into the details of the role it is that we play and how much we get paid for doing all this, how we calculate that. So to go from a contact to a commission, you need to get to a contract. And the only way you're going to get to a contract, because remember, the missing piece of the contact is the R, which stands for relationship. So we need to further our relationship, but not just any sort of relationship. We need to establish a professional relationship. And this is a key piece of the puzzle that I think a lot of new agents end up missing, is they just expect their friends and family members to use them, to trust them, to exclusively use your real estate services because you're the one with a real estate license. Well, folks, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there in Florida with real estate licenses. Chances are, this contact we're talking about probably knows a few different people with a real estate license. And on top of that, there's probably multiple people with a real estate license that might pursue them should they get a whiff that this person needs a real estate professional or needs to buy or sell a house or something like that. So, and trust me, I made the same mistake myself. If I had a nickel for every time, well, it would be, maybe I need more than a nickel, but point being, it's happened to me a lot of times before where I've had somebody, a friend, family member, whoever the case may be, who I assumed I would get a contract from them because I was the contact. Because we were contacts, we were mutual contacts, we knew each other. So in my mind, there's some false assumption that we'd end up at a contract somehow, that they would just assume. I guess I assumed that they would just contact me and they would reach out to me. But in hindsight, what I realized I did so long was I never really, even though I had a relationship, because whoever it is that you have a contact, you have a relationship. That's why there's software called contact relationship managers. Contact relationship managers are there to help you manage a relationship. But it's not just a personal relationship. It's not just talking on the phone or sending text messages or liking stuff on social media. That's just your personal relationship. That's not a professional relationship. What is a professional relationship? Well, your professional relationship is basically a working client-agent relationship. Now, this is going to be a little bit different when this is already a contact that you have, like a friend or family member, but you still want to treat them with the respect that they deserve. And you can't just rely on the fact that they know you, that they already trust you, or whatever it is, and assume that they might not want to use somebody else for the largest purchase of their lives, or the largest sale of their lives. This is a serious thing. And if you don't treat it seriously, if you don't reintroduce yourself in a professional capacity to your contacts, you will never get to contracts. So that's a very important segue that you need to make. And it just goes into having more direct conversations about real estate. Yes, you leverage your personal relationship or coworker or whatever it is, but the only thing that's doing is getting your foot in the door. So don't act like you've got like this great big thing that you're taking from them because you're close. No, when it comes down to it, they will hire who they believe is going to do the best job, which you have probably the best odds that they'll believe that'll be you if you do a good job of presenting yourself in a professional capacity. But if you do not present yourself in a professional capacity, let me assure you that your friends, your family member, I don't care how good of a friend or how good of a family member it is that they are, if they do not trust that you can do the job, they almost never will use you. Or if they do, it's going to be a nightmare because they're going to be basically just telling you what to do because they think you don't know what you're doing. And that's probably worse than I don't know, I'm not going to say it's worse. But anyways, if you don't have to deal with any of that nonsense, if you just establish a professional relationship. And this begins by rolling out that professional red carpet of the experience that you would expect to provide to an average, everyday Joe off the street that you've never met them before, and you want to do a great job of selling them on you and your services and the benefit you can provide to them. You need to do that same thing with your existing contacts, with your existing relationships, because if you've not introduced yourself in a professional capacity, you're not going to get to contracts. But once you have and you clear the air that, hey, look, I'm a knowledgeable professional. Look, I know what I'm doing. I'm at this great brokerage and blah, 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 all these great things together. Okay, wow, I do trust you. I already trusted you as a person. And look, now I could trust you as a professional as well. The bar is a lot lower when this is somebody that you already know. But don't get me wrong, that bar is still there. And you mess up, that bar starts creeping back up to where it should be. But if you, again, effectively introduce yourself as a professional, that you understand, know what problem it is that they need solved and how you could go about helping them solve that problem. Because that's all you're there to do, is just help them out. You're not there to push a certain house on them, or you got this one house, you got to move this house otherwise. But no, we're not selling used cars, we're not selling fish, we're not selling whatever nonsense. We're helping people find their home. Which, yes, there is a sales degree to this as well. There is a sales aspect, but it's more of a matter of helping people make a decision. Because if they don't like this house, great, I don't like this house either. Let's go take a look at this other house down here. Plenty of other houses we could look at. I'm glad you don't like this house because I didn't have to pretend like I'd like it. Good, I'm glad we're on the same page. Let's take a look at this other one over here. Maybe this one will be better. No, you still don't like that one? Now, this is where your role as a professional could come in to help speed up this process by helping counsel them through what is going to be and play a little bit better of a matchmaker. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, you're not going to force their hand to get them to buy anything it is that they don't want to buy. This is a big purchase. There's so many breaking points of the transaction where we're really all about the reassurance side of this and making sure that, even when there are issues and problems or, maybe there's an inspection that comes back with a bunch of issues, it doesn't necessarily mean the end of the deal. It could if it's that bad, but if it's not really that bad, we want to make sure that we're there to be the voice of reason, to make sure that they're not just acting upon emotion, that we keep this contract glued together. Now when you might have a bad inspection, a bad appraisal, or any of these other parts of the process that might not necessarily go as planned, because that's what you're doing on this whole contract to close, contract to commission aspect is over here. Depends whether you're working on the seller side or the buyer side, the extent of what it is that you're doing. But either way, you're there basically to make sure that the deal goes through. Because if that deal doesn't go through, well, there's no commission money to be paid out yet, because the sale didn't close. The money wasn't transacted. So we're back to the drawing board, probably putting the property back on the market and so on and so forth. And we don't want to do that, but that's why, again, we're going to be the professional, especially in a market like we have today. So to give you a more specific example, a market like we have today, crazy multiple offer, seller's market, buyers are very competitive with each other to try to get properties under contract. How do you know you're picking the right contract? How do you know you're picking the best thing? How do you know it won't fall apart for the numerous reasons a contract can fall apart in these stages here? Well, that's because you're aware of what these steps in the contract to closing are going to be. I mean, really the biggest things are going to be your inspection and the appraisal. There can be other items as well, but in most typical transactions, these are the two potential, I don't want to say breaking points because they shouldn't be breaking points. They're potential points of renegotiation, potential points of having another discussion about, what are we going to do about these problems with the property, because, I'm sure neither one of us want to walk away from this deal here. So how do we negotiate getting things repaired or reducing the price, or maybe we do just walk away? That's always on the table as well when you have these contracts written appropriately. But when it comes down to actually transferring the property, because once we get into this stage right here, I don't want to say that it gets easier, but there's less work for us to do typically in these stages. Now, it depends. Every deal can be different. But a lot of the work it is that we're doing is helping get people from these stages to this stage here into a contract. This is where most of our time is spent of actually working, is getting to the actual contract stage. Yes, there's things that we're overseeing, making sure that these things get done. These are at the client's expenses. So it's not necessarily we're paying for these or anything like that, but we do want to make sure these get done, because if they don't, our deal could fall apart, and our deal falls apart, we don't get paid. So we want to do whatever it is that we can to make sure the deal doesn't fall apart in the contract to closing. So that way we get our commission. But again, most of our legwork is done getting to the actual contract. Going from somebody who's just, thinking about buying or selling real estate to somebody who's actually doing it. Getting the contract. The agreement of what the terms are going to be at the closing. That's ultimately what our paperwork is. It is that we're doing. It's ultimately a lengthy agreement over how this sale will progress to ultimately closing and what those final terms should be regarding the transfer of this property. That's what we get the agreement and we negotiate, which includes negotiating the price, but also time for inspections, appraisal contingencies, financing clauses. So I should probably put that up here, as that's maybe something that causes a lot of deals to fall through. We'll throw that up there. Financing. Not necessarily something wrong with the property. That'd be more so the inspection or the appraisal. But there can still be issues with the financing. And these are all things that a professional who can understand how to navigate these waters here. Because again, this is where you do all the work, but this is where the deal could fall apart very quickly if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't have good advising on what those next steps may be. Or this could be where it could be very, very anxious, very nerve-wracking when you're in these stages without having somebody there to help guide you through what can sometimes be choppy waters getting to the actual closing. Because this can be really frustrating because, say an appraisal comes back and then that's where you can have renegotiations over what is the ultimate price or how much additional money might the client be paying out of pocket to still get this property. And then that's where we're helping, consult the client is, do they want to potentially put it back on the market to see if they can maybe get more, or are we going to be back through the same process all over again? So yeah, you know what, that probably doesn't make the most sense. So maybe let's see what we can negotiate here. And again, there's a lot of case-by-case situations. And ultimately what we're doing in the moment is going to look very simple, going to look very straightforward, going to look very easy. But that's because of everything it is that you've done to establish yourself as one of these right here. And yes, that starts with getting your real estate license, but it doesn't end at just getting your real estate license. Yes, even though you're a licensed professional, once you have a license, that shouldn't just be the final end-all, be-all of you being a professional. And a matter of fact, it isn't. There's post-licensing that you got to take as soon as you get your real estate license before your first renewal deadline. But ultimately, that even isn't going to be the end-all, be-all of you being a professional. And no, it's not just continuing education, the little 14 hours every 2 years after that. It's everything that you could take in, whether it be a podcast, a YouTube video, something you find on Facebook. It could be a book that you've read. It could be a course that you're taking, or a training, or some designation class, or whatever it is that you're doing to become a better professional. Because the more of a professional it is that you become, the more it is that you could move people through this process with ease. And then how much do we get paid for this? What is it that we would earn if we move somebody through this process of going from a contact to a commission? Well, let's do these numbers. So I'm always using the number of $333,000, and I like that number because it ends up at 3%, being a nice even $10,000. And for a while, that's been the stats. I'll have to pull the exact stats on Hillsborough County. But there's some stats I saw the other day. I think it was about $416,000 was about the average price in the last 30 days. And that's for like the Tampa Bay area. I think that includes Pinellas County, not just Hillsborough, not just Tampa. So let's say $416,000. That's about what an average price home is right now in the Tampa Bay area. Let's go ahead and calculate this out with a 3% commission. Now the commission is always a negotiated amount, but let's say it's 3%. That's a typical amount that you'll see a lot when you look at commissions out there. I think I could say that. There's all kinds of price fixing rules regarding commissions. It's always just got to be a negotiated amount. Now, you could require a minimum. Now, let's say, I think I'm that good that I'll only work for, let's say, 3% on my side of the transaction. Then I don't have to take any deals unless I want to. But again, it always just has to be a negotiation. It's not because the Association of Realtors or some guy on YouTube told you what to charge for a commission. It's always a negotiated amount. Make sure we keep the FCC or FTC or whoever happy with that. Anyway, so $416,000 at 3%. Let's say that's what it is. I'm going to start saying higher percentage of commissions so that way it doesn't seem like there's any conspiracy out there. But let's get the total commission there. That ends up being $12,480. Now this is what we call gross commission. That was 3% that we did of the sale price. So if 3% is the commission rate it is that you've negotiated with your client, could be more, could be less than that. On an average price home in the Tampa Bay area, that's about $12,480 in gross commission. Now, there are 100% brokerages out there that have some sort of fee structure, some usually per transaction based fee or monthly subscriptions or some sort of way that they're ultimately making money with that. But those are not good fits for new agent because the brokerages where it's a very low cost, low fee where you basically get all the commission, there's not any money for the brokerage to provide you tools, training, things that you need as a new agent to be successful in most cases. So typically, as a new agent, the 100% brokerages aren't usually the best fit. Usually you want to be in a situation where there is some sort of commission split. And there's some hybrid brokerages out there where there's a commission split that turns into 100%, or sometimes where they just cap out for the year. There's all kinds of different models that different brokerages have and different offerings that they have. But the difference being that there's brokerages out there that are more geared for new agent success. And typically that's when they have a vested interest in you closing deals, meaning that there's a commission split. So yes, while there are 100% brokerages out there, that's not the best fit for a new agent typically, just because you can sometimes be almost like it is like you're on an island, or it at least might feel like you're on an island, especially when you're new and there's so much still to figure out. So that's why, again, commission split brokerages are there, where they make money when you make money, because ultimately they would keep a percentage of this commission before you get paid. And a good, if we're using like typical average numbers, I would say is about 70-30. That's a good number, I would say, to be around. There's going to be more, there's going to be less. It depends, again, on what that brokerage is offering you. Sometimes the stuff they offer you doesn't make sense, so that might not be a good brokerage for you. But then there's going to be brokerages that offer more. They're typically going to be more costly, and brokers that offer less, they're going to be less costly. But as a new agent, you typically need some support. And so this 70-30 structure, basically, that typically is going to be where 70 goes to the sales associate. I shouldn't say typically, because if you're only getting 30%, that's not really a great deal at all. However, you join a real estate team, you might only be getting like 15 to 25% of the overall commission, because you're usually just doing a smaller portion of the deal, which that works for some people, but that also can hold you back in being able to spread your own wings and build your own business for something even bigger. So if you're working independently, not necessarily joining a team or anything like that, as a new agent, this is, again, usually a pretty good place to be. Because what that means is, out of this $12,480 here, 70% of that is going to be $8,736. And then the broker share of this would be the remaining $3,744. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of money. Why is the broker getting that? And again, that's going to be from the tools that they're providing, the resources, training, mentoring, coaching, office space, websites, business cards, you name it. There's different brokerages out there that have all kinds of different product offerings. And again, they'll have different commission splits. But again, this is a healthy place, or somewhere around this, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, 80-20, 60-40. That's a good range to be in as a new agent, but something to keep in mind is you're probably going to start to figure some of this stuff out, so it's good to look at options that are necessarily where this isn't permanent, or you could always change brokers down the road. However, that could be a little sticky sometimes, because contracts have to stay with the current broker. Your contacts you could take with you, so you could take all your contacts to whatever brokerage it is that you go to, but all your contracts, those are active agreements with the brokerage organization, and those can't transfer to just with you, because again, those are agreements with the entire brokerage, not just with you specifically. So that's why, again, you want to try to pick that right broker from the start here, to balance out the money it is that you're going to be earning with the benefits it is that the brokerage provides to help you get this money in your pocket. That's the way a lot of people look at this, and it's the wrong way to look at it if you're thinking, wow, look at the broker taking all that money. Which, once you've got this figured out, you know what you're doing, and you've got this dialed in, you've done 10, 15, 20 deals, and you still have a commission split, I can understand how this feels like the broker is taking money there. Because once you've closed a pretty significant deal of business, there's less and less that you need the broker for, other than maybe the actual legal aspect of the brokerage. And that's what a lot of those 100% brokerages out there thrive on, is the agents that, can basically handle themselves. But rather than paying this money up front to get a bunch of tools from a brokerage, the split model allows the broker to earn money on the back end when they help you close deals. Now, typically, there still might be some sort of monthly subscription if there's a lot of stuff they provide you, or maybe some sort of an initiation or onboarding fee or anything like that up front to join the brokerage. But ultimately, this is a pretty typical model that you might see out there. And let's break this down one step further here. Now, we're still dealing with gross numbers, so this doesn't necessarily include the cost and money that it is that you've invested to get your real estate license, to pass your exam, to go through all the work it is that you had to do to get this deal done. But once you make a habit out of this, once you make a business out of this, once you make a system and process out of this, on average, according to the National Association of Realtors, if this were a seller, on average, it takes 8 hours of working time, according to the National Association of Realtors, to close a seller. So that's a little bit more than $8,000 an hour. That's almost, or $1,000 an hour. That's almost $1,100 an hour if it takes you 8 hours to make this money. Now, most places you don't make anywhere near $1,100 per hour. Now, yes, there's going to be costs and expenses and so on and so forth, but look, this is just one house. This is just one property. And again, once you start, especially once you start to systematize this, there is no limit on how much you could actually sell and how many deals you could get done. And yes, that might now involve you building a team and recruiting more agents because there's only so much that you could physically do. Well, those opportunities exist and are out there, and you don't even need a broker license. You just need a sales associate license to be able to do things like that. Now, if you're working with a buyer, on average, according to the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, according to the NAR, with working with a buyer, it's 24 hours of working time. So that ends up being, I think, a little bit more than $300 per hour. So still not too bad. But let's say you get on a 100% commission plan because you figure out real estate and what it is that you're doing. Well, now if it takes you 24 hours, that's going to be $500 an hour. But if this only takes you 8 hours, because this is a seller, so again, according to the NAR, the stats are for sellers, 8 hours, for buyers, 24 hours. We usually get the same, what we're getting paid either side. Typically, again, it's negotiable. But a lot less time working with sellers. But again, there is more prep work, more needed to become that professional in advance so that you could earn these higher rates of pay. Because now if you're earning $12,000 in 8 hours, oh man, what's going to be, is it 1,200? Let me just do the calculator. 12,480 divided by 8 hours, 1,560. So we're basically looking, and let me go back to the low end of the scale when we had the $8,000 that we were earning in 24 hours. Let's see what that was. That was 8,000, 12,480 times 70% was 87.36 divided by 24 hours, 364. So based on an average property and potentially having a 70-30 commission split or working with a buyer to versus maybe being 100% and working with a seller, you're looking at about $360 to $1,500 an hour that you're making as a real estate professional. It's unreal when you realize how much money exists in real estate. Now, this is calculating direct working time. So this isn't just you go take the course for 8 hours and all of a sudden you made $1,500 an hour. No, you're working up to that point. This is what you have the potential to get to once you establish yourself as a professional. But if no one considers you a professional, you're not going to get anywhere near even $300 an hour. Because no one's going to trust you. No one's going to do business with you. And then you'll make $0 an hour. Matter of fact, you'll be negative after you figure in the cost it is that you're spending to get started and blah, blah, blah. But if you stay focused on this goal of becoming a professional, of becoming somebody that people look up to when it comes to information or knowledge or questions about real estate, or maybe not even just real estate, about finance, about where the cool places to go eat are, about whatever it is that you could connect to your professional, your realtor professional, your I know what I'm doing with real estate and I could confidently navigate you through a transaction professionalism with whatever other areas of professionalism you might already have. For those of you starting real estate part-time, a great way to transition is leveraging your existing network of contacts, of co-workers, of clients, of whoever it is. Granted, you're not breaking any rules with your companies that you might be working at, so as long as they're okay with it, then cool. Tons of people you could potentially do business with. But they won't do business with you unless you're a professional. Matter of fact, it's illegal for them to do business with you if you don't have a professional license. So it starts out with that. And if you're watching this and you don't yet have your real estate license, what are you waiting for? This license is your ticket, is your key. If you've made it to this point and you're watching this on the show, you know the things it is that you need to do to go out there and become capable of earning this money. Not everybody knows that. That's why I'm literally here on the internet trying to shout this from our little live streaming studio up here in New Tampa to the world so people know that this exists. You don't have to go to school for 4 years. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in college tuition. You need to take a 7-day class that's going to cost you a couple $100 and then go pass a state exam and then join the Association of Realtors and join a broker. There's going to be some costs, there's going to be a time investment, there's going to be some things required to get this started. But when we're talking about making hundreds to thousands of dollars per hour, go down to USF or UF or whatever school it is that's going to charge tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get some sort of degree, and ask them the positions that they have, what they pay. Now, yes, you've got costs to run your business and so on and so forth. So I'm not here to say this is money that you're going to take home. This is not guaranteed. This is up to you. This is a business. That is what you make of it. But despite all of that, there's people out there making even more money than this in real estate. Because there's houses that get a lot more expensive. And not just houses. There's even commercial real estate, which is significantly more complicated and more complex than residential real estate, and requires a even more significant degree of professionalism than what it takes to impress a homeowner. You know, think of what it's going to take to impress somebody that owns a $416,000 house. What is it going to take that you're going to have to do to get this homeowner to trust you, to respect you, to want to do business with you at a significant cost? Because let's not say that this isn't a lot of money. This is a lot of money. So why are they agreeing that you're going to get this cut, this 3% cut of the entire sale price of the property? And we're not even actually just negotiating for this. When we're negotiating with the seller, we're negotiating for both sides of the deal. So we're negotiating for almost 25 grand. Which that's what's on the table if we represent both the buyer and the seller. If we represent the buyer and the seller, that's potentially 25 grand in this transaction here. But with the 3% for our half of the deal, if we don't find the buyer, if we're just representing the seller, that was the $12,480. But again, like I said, that would be double if we're representing the buyer and the seller. But we're negotiating that commission. So think of what you've got to do to convince this homeowner. And now, if you want to do commercial, we're not talking about a $416,000 property. We might not even be talking about a $4 million property. We might be talking about a $41 million property. Throw another zero on there. $41 million. You know, that's the range you're maybe dealing in with commercial, is tens of millions of dollars as opposed to, you know, a couple $100,000. But that money's out there. And the more money we're talking, the more of this that's going to be required, the more prep work, the easier this money is going to come, whether we're talking about a bigger sale or doing effectively less work. Because working with a buyer, it is more work. We're not just twiddling our thumbs for 24 hours. We're working those 24 hours versus working 8 hours. But it takes a more skilled professional to win listings. And the more skilled professionals typically gravitate towards listings, and the less skilled professionals usually end up with the buyers then, or there are people who do specialize in buyers, but the people who do specialize in buyers are such a professional that they don't take 24 hours. They figure out how to cut that number down as much as possible, whether that's counseling their clients, whether that's helping them being coached and understood on how to submit the best bids, especially in the legal market like we have today, and getting the pre-approvals and all the things it is that you could do, so that way you don't have to be an average agent, because it's those average agents who aren't a true professional who are pulling down these statistics with this number right here. So just because this is the average does not mean you have to take 24 hours to close a buyer. You could do it much faster. It's just the average agent doesn't. The average agent takes 24 hours, which that applies over here as well, because the average agent on listings takes 8 hours, but if you're not so average, maybe you figure out how to do it in less time. And that's increasing your profitability, which also frees you up to be able to sell more properties. And that's universal, whether you're doing a residential sale or commercial sale, is you could get better and basically give yourself a raise. This is so much a business of what you put into it is what you get out of it. That's what's been the most rewarding for me. Is before I got into real estate, I was in an industry. I was working at a large organization, I think 180,000 employees, and so I was just a very small number in a very large pond. And I wasn't advancing as fast as I wanted to. I didn't get the type of success that I expected to get as quickly as I wanted to. And I wasn't even expecting big grand things, but even little things that I would just be like, really? Like, come on. But it was those little things that made me realize that I was not on the path that I wanted to be on, that I did not have the trajectory that I wanted to have for my future. And look, my family comes from real estate. I didn't want to be in real estate. I was out trying to do my own thing. I went to school, got a good job, that whole story. And then good job, didn't turn out to be so good, didn't move as fast as I wanted to, didn't advance as quickly as I wanted to, and it's like, having a job sucks. Let me look at real estate. I'd done businesses before, some success, but I've never achieved as much success as I've been able to achieve through real estate, and the reason why is it is such a cooperative environment. Whether we're talking about cooperating commissions, whether we're talking about just the culture within your brokerage office of people helping people out, about the culture and the idea that there's like limited, endless amount of money out there for us to earn commission on if we could just be a professional with enough people. If we could just be a professional with enough people, the checks write themselves, basically. They don't actually write themselves, trust me. The checks do not write themselves, but it feels a lot more like they are writing themselves the more of a professional it is that you become. Look, when you're a professional, you could pay somebody to write the checks for you. You don't even have to write the checks. You could have an accountant do it. But not if you don't have your house in order, not if you don't have your business in order, not if you don't have yourself thriving to the point where you could help others thrive as well. And if that's something that you want to do, that opportunity exists in real estate. If you want to find out how to get started, 813-333-2676. Call us. We have advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. You can also text us at that number. It's 813-333-2676. You can also find out more information online at tampaschool.com, or if you want to check out licensefl.com, that actually has our step-by-step guide to get your real estate license. There's a ton of information just on our website alone, let alone the rest of the internet, and a lot of that information can be wrong. So if you have questions about any of this, about information, how to get started in real estate, what the state of Florida requires for you to legally practice real estate, what brokerages out there might be looking for new agents, and how do you find that right broker for you? We've got resources, we've got tools, we've got courses, we've got so much information to help put you on the path for a successful real estate career. That's ultimately our mission here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. So let us help us do what we do. Call us 813-333-2676. That's about all the time we've got for today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Friday for State of Real Estate, but that's it for today. Thank you guys, and I'll see you on Friday. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.
Powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the question simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the question simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The question simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
Have you completed your post-licensing education yet? Look, I know you're probably thinking, hey, it's not my renewal deadline, I don't need to do post-licensing yet, but look, here's why you want to do post-licensing as soon as you've got your real estate license, as soon as you're able to take post-licensing. It's not just another course about arbitrary laws that you're never going to use again. It's about real-world, usable topics that'll help you grow your real estate business, to help you take it to the next level. Look, let me ask you this one question. If this course helps you close just one deal, if you get one extra deal from post-licensing, is it worth the investment? I'd say it is. We get paid pretty well, so one deal means a lot of money. Check out postflorida.com. That's postflorida.com for the full details about post-licensing. Hey, so if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success, or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate.
Do you want a career that allows you to be in control? With a career in real estate, you'll get to call the shots. Whether you're looking at starting part-time or want to become the next top agent, a career in real estate makes it possible. Find out what it takes at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Carissimo with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.